How's it going, guys? We're back here with OHA Jason and myself, OHA Dane. We're going to give you guys a little preview of the first scenario in the new Battle of the Pelennor Fields box set. So what we've done, we've already preset everything up. We're basically just going to kind of read through, kind of give you an idea of how everything starts, and then we'll do a play-by-play and we'll keep you guys updated. So what we've already done, we've chosen the Rohan side to be the northern board, and I'm going to be the southern. Basically all you do is your Rohan's going to start off with 12 warriors, your riders I should say. That's their starting force. They get a little bit of a bonus for their special role in this scenario. And for any good model that is mounted, it always counts as charging. Even in turn when they are charged first. This means that you always get the extra attack and the knock to the ground bonus, even if someone charges you first. I get 24 Moran and Orcs. I got a few with shields and spear and shield, and then just some regular swords, and that's about it. But I got 24 of those guys to his 12. So basically it's this scenario is going to be, the objective is for the good player to ride into battle and try and get to the force. Basically they're just going to be allying and kind of charging in to get past the Moran and Orcs and get to their back lines to defeat them. The tactics, the good player must pick their fight wisely, keeping out of the Orcs range until they are close, until they lose the priority, and then they can charge with no risk being outnumbered. Evil player needs to focus on taking out a few riders at a time, and they only need to kill 7 to win the game outright, so that's important when you're playing your first scenario.
Only 7 riders?
Only 7 riders have to die to win outright for the
cool.
Moran and Orcs. So these are our starting positions, and it's just a matter of getting these guys off the board on the good and the running Orcs stopping them.
That's it, guys. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump you off. We're going to show you the deployments, show you how we laid out our forces. For the deployment of this particular match, we're going to do 6 inches in from the board edge.
Yep.
For both sides. So we'll jump you off, we'll show you that. We're going to zoom into combat situations, movement, just to show you the basics of movement. Very simple. Riders of Rohan are moving 12.
Yep.
Moran and Orcs are going to be moving 6. There are no captains, nobody with might, so there will be no heroics. This is a very basic how to play, basically move, fight,
straight up
Rohan,
warrior
shoot, straight up brawl. So we're going to jump you off the tripod when we need to, and we'll bring you in, show you the forces, and then we'll roll for priority. Alright guys, so mind the freehand camera work, but this is the deployment. So we have our 12 riders of Rohan arranged as such, up against Dane's horde of Moran and Orcs. This is the table. This is where we're playing. So what we need to do obviously first, similar to many other game systems, is what we would call initiative or priority in this particular game.
Actually, I'm going to stop you there.
Oh, you are, eh?
Scenario 1. The good player starts with priority.
The good player, that would be me, with the Riders of Rohan. Okay. So, for the sake of information, generally in a normal game you would roll for priority.
Absolutely.
This is a specific scenario, so the Riders of Rohan are going to go first.
Yep.
Moranans will go second. So we're going to go through, we're going to do our movement. We'll bring you back for a recap of movement, and then we'll move on to the next phases. Alright guys, here we are. We are done our first movement. So, I have a correction to make. I misspoke. I said Riders of Rohan move 12. Apparently that buff didn't make it into the book.
If we pencil it
they
in,
only get a 10-inch move, so my mistake on that. But all we've done here, as you can see, the Riders of Rohan have moved up 10. The Moranans have moved up 6. This is the battle line that is forming. And what we're going to do now is, I guess we would roll for priority now.
We are going to roll for priority.
So why don't we do that? We're going to roll for priority, do our next move, and we'll bring you back for an update. So here's the roll. Oh, so that's a big 1 for the
put that dice away.
Evil Orcs. And look at the OHA. George doesn't lie. They do roll 6s every once in a while, eh? So it'll be a move to the Rohan. We'll do our next move and bring you guys back. All right, so that is turn...
That was turn 2.
End of turn 2?
Yep.
No. Wait, yes, end of turn 2. We've done our movement. We're going to need to roll for priority again, so this is how the battle line is shaping up.
I switched my dice up.
You've changed dice in
I'm
the
going to
home.
use an Articon dice.
You're going to use
for
Articon
for next year.
Okay, I'm going to use the clear OHA dice.
It should be a 6.
This is going to be a big priority.
It's a 1.
Oh wow!
Come
Oh,
on.
and Dane rolls a 1.
All right, that one's going to the
And
pile.
just to recap, this is what it looked like before, and we'll bring you back when it's after. So now, obviously, for new players, this is important. Rohan has priority. There's going to be no heroics to get in the way, so it'll just be a straight up charge by Rohan. So we're going to break the line
We will
and
see some casualties here.
see what's happening next. So we'll bring you back once that's done. All right, so for my priority, Riders of Rohan have a really cool, not special rule, but they have throwing weapons. I believe there's only 4 though, correct, Dean?
There's 4. Yeah, you have 4
There's
spears
only 4
for your
spears.
riders.
So we're going to do 2 in each group. So they're the 2 with the spears. There's 2. There's 1 here and 1 here.
Yep.
And there's 1 here and 1 here.
Perfect.
Also, there's a 3rd here. He won't count. So
Yeah.
these 2 in the front. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
So they're going to move in. We'll just do a single example, and then we'll proceed on with the game. So for this, what's going to happen is he's charging this model here. So he's 1 priority. He's now going to move to within an inch. He's going to stop, and then you're going to make a roll for your throwing weapon. And he missed. He failed.
Just awful.
Just awful. Just
awful.
absolutely awful.
He's
So
pulling
now,
me here.
once that's done, you are now going to continue into your move. Your charge goes off, and I'm going to swing around and pick up both of those models.
You can see here, he's just going to place himself, so he's picking up both models.
Yep. So now we'll try it with 1 more, see if we can get this to work for you on camera. So I'm going to stop an inch away. That one hits.
Yep.
There's no modifier any longer on throwing weapons, which is awesome.
Yep.
So now I'm going to roll the wound. 2 is not going to
Won't do it.
So he's going to finish his charge in the same way.
He's going to pick up those guys as well.
Pick up the 2. And then we'll go down the line with the rest of the movements. That's throwing weapons done. We'll bring it back once we get into combat. Okay, we're going to try the throwing weapon one more time. So this rider is going to charge into contact. Here, he's going to stop an inch away, and he's going to throw his weapon. He hits.
Goes off.
Does not win. Now, in my defense, Miranda Norks are defense 6. So he's going to crash into that.
Yeah.
And just as a caveat, we're using the to wound chart, obviously on the back.
Yes. Yeah.
Shown here.
So you got
To
the wound
determine,
chart.
so you're going to use your weapon, the strength of the throwing weapon,
Absolutely.
to figure out against the defense 6 Miranda Nork to figure out what you're going to roll.
Yep.
And that's the same throughout all combat. Any shooting and combat is going to use that system.
So I think you have 1 more spear on that
one
side.
more. Let's see what he does. He's going to go in, stop an inch away. That's a miss. Doesn't go off.
Does not go off.
He's going to pick up both.
He's going to pick up both the front lines there. You can see he's picking up the 2 front guys.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll finish our movement, and we'll get back to you guys shortly.
Okay, so the throwing weapon's done. The charge has gone off, and this is how it has ended up. So the riders have charged in. Dane has chosen to keep his spear supports in place. That's important for 2 reasons. 1, it's going to give you an extra attack during the attack round. Secondly, supports cannot be killed in the combat. So it allows me, as the Rohan player, to only kill the model directly in front in that combat. And that spear support would end up having to make way or back off in order to allow him to move, but would survive the combat without dying. The only time that's going to be different is in a situation like this, where you have 2 models in base contact, at which point both those models would be eligible in a very lucky roll to die. So that's the way Dane has chose to play it, and it's very wise. Spear supports have changed in the new rules in that you can only support models that are equal or lesser size base, which makes complete sense. So
No more supporting a mummic.
no more supporting a mummic or smog or any of that mumbo jumbo. It's brilliant. It brings a lot of balance. So here we are into combat. So we're going to bring you back once we break out the combats. Actually, Dane, why don't you just break up the combats now, since I'm recording?
Absolutely.
They're pretty straightforward.
Yep, we're gonna do this combat separately. So these my two Marauder orcs will roll off against his one Rohan warrior.
Right, which normally gets a single attack,
Yes.
but because they charged, gets 2.
Yep, and actually in this specific scenario, it doesn't matter even if I charge him in this scenario, he's going to get that extra anyways.
That's right.
Most of the time in regular play, that doesn't get that. but just for the
Unless you
scenario.
charge.
Unless
Right.
you charge,
Yep.
yeah. But if you are charged, you usually don't get that bonus.
Correct.
But for this scenario, we do get it.
That's right. Okay.
We'll break it off, and we'll start on this side.
Why don't we take them through this combat right
Absolutely.
now? We'll roll it out. So I'll use 2 red dice for my Rohan.
I'll use 2 brownish dice.
Okay. So basically this is high roll based on your fight value.
Yep.
So we've both tied here, which is an interesting one for newer players.
Yep. So these are taken away. The highest
those are
ones
taken
are
away.
threes.
The highest are 3s. Now what we're going to refer to now on is the profiles.
Yep.
And we're going to take a look at the fight values. So for a rider or Rohan, his standard fight is 3.
Yes.
For a Morannon Orc, also a 3. So we need to do a roll off. On a 1, 2, 3, it's going to be evil. On a 4, 5, 6, it's going to be good. So the combat, that's a 6.
That is a 6.
The combat is going to go to the rider of Rohan.
Yes.
So what happens now is actually quite interesting. Both Morannon Orcs, in this case, will be knocked prone.
Yep.
And what that entails is basically you're getting double strikes now. So your 2 attacks are now going to become 4.
Yep.
And what you want to do is you want to roll these individually against each model, because if you kill, let's say you kill the first model in the first strike,
Yep.
you can then move on. You still have 2 onto the next.
So basically, your attacks are just doubled. So you can roll 2 for the first guy and 2 for the next guy.
Yep.
Chances are you're probably going to get some casualties.
So let's do the first one in front there with the sword and shield.
Oh.
So that's a 5. So they are strength. They are strength 3. There's no special rule. Did they get their army bonus though? That's interesting.
What's their army bonus?
We'll bring you right back. Okay, so my mistake. The bonus rule is for if Theoden is on the table, and it gives you a +1 to your fight, which is pretty big. So in this case, we've got strength 3 on defense 6 with a roll of a 5. So we're going to come over to our chart, and you're going to take a look at strength 3 over to a defense 5. So that's a 5 to wound. So that first Morannon Orc is most certainly dead.
You're going to want to pick the guy with the shield as well.
That's right.
You're always going to want to get the highest defense out of the way.
That's right. So now we're going to go on to the spear support. 2 attacks.
Gets him as well.
And we've got another 5. So that rider of Rohan has cleared house. So let's do one more combat.
Absolutely.
And then we'll finish out the line. So this next one, we're just going to go right here.
Yep.
So that's going to be 2 dice to Dane's 2 dice because he has a sword and shield in front with a spear support. And I'm getting 2 because of the charge. So in this case, Dane's rolled a 4 highest. The Rohan player has rolled a 5. So Rohan takes it. Now the first model is knocked prone in this situation. So now that he's prone, he's taking double attacks. So we're going to go actually up to, it's 2 attacks, so it's actually up to 4.
It's 4 attacks, yeah.
4 attacks. So we're going to do 4 attacks on that single model. And we're going to get him there with the 2 5s and a 6. So that is a basic look at very generalized combat.
Yeah.
Riders of Rohan did very well right there. So we're going to finish out down the line, and then we'll bring you back into the next turn. So a small correction that we wanted to point out. GW has been kind enough to provide markers in this game, and this is a prone marker. So this orc model has actually been knocked prone by the charge, by the rider of Rohan. In the past, we've just laid the model down, which can be detrimental to the gameplay because it really affects basically the line of your infantry, and moreover the base is supposed to represent the space that it takes up. Laying it down obviously more than doubles that. So these prone markers and other markers within the game are very handy to allow you to A, not have to lay your model down, but B, properly situate the model so that you know where it is. Now that model still may die because we haven't rolled the dice, but we wanted to show you what the prone markers are used for in the box set. Alright guys, we're back at the end of that combat. That would be turn 3, correct?
Yes.
Going into 4. So as you can see, we've got 2 orc models that were knocked prone by this rider. However, the rider was unable to kill them, and as such had to back off an inch. You were actually able to kill 2 riders.
Finally.
In that combat, which is excellent. Basically, so what we wanted to cover off was the fight values.
Yes.
So because both the Orc and the Riders of Rohan share the same fight value, you would do a roll off.
Yes.
The player with priority generally rolls. On a 1, 2, 3, it's evil. On a 4, 5, 6, it's good.
Yep.
That roll can only be influenced by Elven Blades, I believe.
Yes.
I believe they're 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and
4.
on the 1, 2, you get the evil, and then a 3, 4, 5,
3,
6.
4, 5, 6. It's the good. But that's only for elves with Elven Blades. But of note, we personally like to do an actual roll-off. So each player would roll, high roll takes the combat.
Yeah.
And that just adds a little extra flavor to
Absolutely.
to the round. So why don't we go ahead and roll for priority. So that's a 3 for the Riders. Oh, no, and a 2. You cannot pull off a roll.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. So the Riders of Rohan will take that priority. We're going to go ahead and do the movement, and we'll bring you right back. Okay, guys, so here is how this combat is going to shape up. We both finished our moves. Rohan obviously is going to get the charge bonus for all this, but Dane has done something interesting for the sake of showing the new players. You've surrounded this cavalry model.
Yes.
Jason also needs to do a better job of actually reading the scenario that he's playing, because apparently my goal is to get Riders of Rohan off the table edge, and instead I'm valiantly charging to eliminate the filth. Now, I lose after you kill 7 riders.
Kill 7 of them, you're done.
Right, so I need to get disengaged and actually play the objective and try to get off the board. That's my fault for not properly reading.
Sorry, did I not mention that?
No, it was not mentioned, but I can't say from a tactical standpoint that I blame you. This is how this side's faring a little better. Rohan took a little bit of a beating on this side after losing 2 riders, so we're going to go into combats. When we get into the trapped combat, we'll bring it back and show you guys how that works. But we're going to work from this way down, and we'll bring you back when we get to this model. Dane, why don't you go ahead and point out the combat we're going to talk about real quick?
All right, so we were just into this combat here. We've already resolved the rest of them.
That's right. We did a roll.
We did a roll up, and we both managed to roll 6s across the board.
2 6s.
Does not happen often.
2 6s.
How we point
Very rare.
Gonna come down to
completely
a roll-off.
worth the 22 seconds of video time. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we're finally over to this side. We wanted to talk about this. Where's my finger? This combat right here. So this Rider of Rohan lost the combat against the 2 prone models. So that allows both these prone models to now stand up.
Yep.
So you remove the prone tokens. They now are free to move and act as normal.
Their
next
half-inch
turn.
movement from their stand-up, we can come in. That's less than 3 inches, so.
Does that have an hour or movement? I think they just stand up.
Do they stand up? I thought
think
they could
after-
stand up and do their half their movement.
Normally, like at the beginning of the phase,
Yeah?
they would do that. In combat, they just stand up. Yeah. So you're all good. So next round, you're good. You got your full movement, which is big. If you win priority,
Oh, yeah.
huge charge, right? So why don't we go ahead and do the surrounded Rohan rider? So he's going to get 2 attacks.
Yep.
Against your 4 because you were able to surround.
Yep.
So let's see who wins this. Oh, it's a 6 for the rider.
Oh.
There's an awful glare, but that is a 6.
Yes.
And what do we get, Dane?
Not a 6.
Not a 6. So let's just play it out for the sake of argument to show new people how this works. So with the trap model, let's say the rider of Rohan lost the combat.
Yes.
Basically what would happen is now you would double your strike. So those 4 would become 8 rolls to wound because he is trapped.
Yes.
And again, you can make your strikes against the rider or the mount.
Yep.
So you can choose, if you've got the mount, obviously with a lower defense than the rider, it may be wise to dismount him. You're then going to make a thrown rider check, which can all be found in the rulebook. But so why don't we, just for the sake of it, roll your 8 dice and see if you would have killed that rider.
What I'll
of
do
Rohan.
is I'll roll each guy separately.
Yep.
Each guy's attack is doubled, so each guy will start with my spearman there. So we have 5.
So that's a 5. That would have done it.
That would have done
you
it.
would have
That's
killed,
all what I needed.
killed the rider. That's all it was. But instead,
That's not
because
what
Dane
happened.
rolled the way he did, we're going to back all those models up.
All these guys are
1
actually
inch.
going to be prone.
Oh, prone. That's right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So actually, we're going to just put some prone tokens down.
That's right.
I'm not sure if I have enough kicking around here, but I'm sure we'll find some.
Is it just the cavalry charge ones? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Is it the cavalry charge?
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we
Prone.
go. So we got 4 prone guys.
And we did start actually using the cavalry charge tokens to show that the Riders of Rohan had in fact charged. So we're now to a fairly important part.
Yep.
We need to roll for a priority.
Actually, you won, so you still have to do your strikes.
I still have to do my strikes, so it's going to be 4 strikes. So we're going to free up my route away. Obviously, I want to get out of that combat, so I'm going to strike this individual first. And that's going to get him with a 6.
You rolled it.
And that individual as well.
Oh, look at that.
And we're going to get him with a 5 as well. Actually, no, he has a shield. I need a 6.
Oh, you need a 6, yeah.
So he's just prone, but
prone.
at least I've opened up that corner.
Yeah.
I can now get myself out of some trouble. So now, how about we roll for some priority?
Let me, I haven't won one yet, guys, so if you can get me just like that.
Oh, it's a big 6 from the Articon die and a 2. So
from the other Articon die,
priority
clearly not loaded.
Once again is going to go to Rohan. So we'll do our movements and we'll bring you guys back. Okay, Dane, take us through. This is the end of the movement phase. We're moving into combat. So what happened here?
So basically, Jason has now read the rules this scenario, and he's going to get some riders off the board. Luckily for him, they move 10, and I only move 6. So he's elected to tie up some of my zones of control. And once you tie up a model, they lose their zone of control. You can move past them.
Which is 1 inch.
Yeah, which is 1 inch zone of control. So he's got a few guys past here. I got a couple orcs trying to block it off, but I'm not going to be able to reach, obviously. But
we got one guy here that managed to escape being trapped.
Yeah, he got out of there real quick.
Why don't you touch on these 3?
So these guys, if you guys remember, they were all prone. So basically, at the start of their move, because they weren't engaged, they were able to stand up and move half their move. So they were able to move 3 inches. Doesn't give them a whole lot of movement, but at least they're back up on their feet.
No.
He did charge me here on a prone model, so I'm still prone on this guy here, and everyone else is locked up.
Everyone
looks to be single combat, except for this gentleman.
Except for that one right there. Now, I have lost 3 Riders of Rohan, and I lose the game if I lose 7.
Yes.
Correct? So, it's going to become important now. I need to make sure that I start winning these combats.
This turn needs to go in the Mordor way.
That's right.
Fast.
So, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do our combats. If there's anything noteworthy, probably we'll come back for this combat here.
Yes.
We'll go through that, but we're going to do the other combats, and we'll come right back. So, Dane, take us through your epic moment of glory that could have been right here.
So 3-on-2. Once again, I have lost.
Jason rolled 5 highest.
5 highest. So now I'm all going to be prone on this.
All 3 models prone. We're going to double up the strikes.
Double up the strikes.
See what we can do.
Oh, man.
On this side here.
Just losing terribly,
This
guys.
particular rider is having a rough day.
Yeah.
Can't seem to deal with the prone dude.
Everyone else is doing work around him. He's just swinging for the fences.
I don't know if there's a little bit of pity there or what's going on, but that's the way this combat's shaping up. So we're going to finish out that combat, do the strikes, and we'll come back with priority. All right, so in an epic twist of fate, all your models are prone, and you didn't lose any of them. I wasn't able to kill any at all. And actually, I think I need to back off an inch,
a bit,
because you were prone.
Guy here.
Oh, that one guy there. Okay, so now why don't we go ahead and roll your favorite priority roll?
You gotta win 1.
Oh, so there's a 5.
No,
and a 3. Oh, it's a 1. It's a 1. He knocked it with a 1. Should I give it to him?
I lost again.
No, we're not going to give it to him. He lost again. Dane.
Not a single one.
Let's
Guys,
take a minute and talk.
When you're playing the game, okay? Just win priority.
That's it.
That's
literally.
all you have to do.
That's all you have to do. It's nuts. Where's Saruman?
This is my turn.
Oh, too soon?
Yeah.
All right, guys. So Rohan again will take priority. We're going to finish out the movement phase, and we'll bring you back for an update. All right, guys, and we're back after a very minor break to further hydrate and eat.
Yes, always important.
Movement has been completed. So these 2 Riders of Rohan were able to charge. I have 3 that are making a break for the edge of the board.
Yep.
You were able to catch 1, sneaky little bugger. But luckily in this scenario, the special rule still allows the Rider of Rohan to count as charging.
Yes.
So these orcs are obviously trying to make their way over to try to block any more getting off. I have only lost 3, and I have 3 off the board. So right now we are at a 3-3 tie, because you get a point for each Rider of Rohan to make it off the table.
Very true.
And I get a point for you get a point for every rider or Rohan you kill.
Basically, if everything goes to plan, you'll get 3 off the board, and I'll kill 3, and we'll be tied.
That'll be it. It'll be a big tie. So we're going to go ahead and do the combats, and we'll bring you back at the end of combat phase. So, par for the course. These two riders were able to dispatch their foes rather quickly. This particular rider, though, we've both tied with 6s. So we're going to go ahead and do a roll-off to see who's going to take this combat. Are you ready? That's a 1.
Yes!
And a 6.
Finally!
The forces of evil finally triumph. So push him back 1 inch.
Need a 5. Yeah!
Ah! And Dane fells another rider of Rohan.
Perfect. Put him in the dead
But there we go, into the dead pile. Let's go ahead and roll for priority.
No.
Oh, it's a 2. And a 2.
Goes
it's
to
tied.
me.
It's going to go to Big Dane.
Woo!
Finally.
First one of the game.
First priority of the game. So we're going to go ahead and do our movements, and we'll bring you guys back for another update. So with his first priority of the game, he was able to tie up this rider. So this rider now loses the charge token because he was charged. But thankfully, he still gets his charge bonus under the scenario special rules. This rider Rohan charged in to support this orc that tied up the Rohan archer, who is not actually an archer, but for the sake of the game. And you also tied up the other rider there. So I only have 4 riders on the board.
But you also managed to get 1 more off the board.
I did. I got 1 more off the board. I have 4 dead.
It's 4 off the board. It's
So
a
you
tie.
need to kill 3 of the 4 on the table right now. So we need a big round of combat here. So if there's any interesting developments, we'll bring you back. But we're going to finish combat and bring you in for an update. And Dane, in another epic display of dice, why don't you go ahead and take us through what happened here?
Failed here and died.
Died, yeah.
Failed here and died.
Super died, yeah.
And failed here and managed to live.
Managed to live.
Furthest away from
That's
where I need to be.
So you weren't able to take out a rider that turn.
Not a single one.
Priority's going to be pretty big. Let's
yeah, it's going to come down.
Let's go ahead.
Going back to the OAG
we did try the GW dice there. I was quite pleased, so I'm going to roll a GW die for priority and see what happens. So we got a 3, and it's a 2. Oh my god, it's a 2. Oh, Dane cannot buy a roll tonight, folks.
I cannot buy him to save my life.
We're going to do the moves and come right back. All right, folks, with that priority win, we're going to take it over to Dane. He's going to wrap it up.
We're wrapping it up. That is game end. I lost my priority, as you can see again with my green die. That allowed Jason to be able to get the 3 riders that he had here off the board, which stopped the game because I can no longer
kill the 7th.
Yeah, I cannot kill the 7th.
So he had 4.
I had 4 dead.
4 dead. There's only 1 remaining on the table.
Yeah.
Dane, great game.
Great game, man.
Had a lot of fun. Excellent starting scenario, I would say, for a new player.
Very easy.
Very easy, very straightforward. I like the tokens. I'm not gonna lie, I was unsure about the tokens to begin with because I'm not a big token guy. A lot nicer than it doesn't change the game a whole lot because the laying down of the models, etc. So the charging ones are nice, so you remember which cavalry units have charged or been charged. All in all, very, very well rounded. So we're gonna have to get into maybe another scenario.
Yep.
So let's set it up, see if we got some time, and we'll try scenario 2. So thanks for joining us for scenario 1. Questions or comments, leave them down below. Anybody within the OHA, whether it's via YouTube or Facebook, we'd be happy to answer any questions. If there's something that we did wrong on the video, by all means let us know. Obviously the rules, it definitely has been known to happen. So hope you enjoyed the content, guys, and we'll catch up with you on the next one.